Hello and welcome to the Forex forecast for March 1st, 2011. In front of you is the Euro US dollar pair, and as you can see, today's action has been fairly bullish with a pop above the 138 handle and a very supportive bar forming later in New York trading at that same handle. This was identified as a zone of resistance that we were facing as we had been consolidating between the 137.50 and 138 handle. We have failed again at the 138 handle. However, having said that, the action is decidedly bullish and the most recent bar printed does look supportive. So until you get a break, a clean break, perhaps even below this bar at the 137.50 level, or maybe even as low as the 137 handle with this, you would have to think that the momentum is definitely to the upside. Now, if we break below that, that certainly would signal a resumption of the previous consolidation range. Any move above this bar, above today's high, certainly will open the door for a 140 handle move. Looking at the US dollar Canadian dollar pair, you can see that the area of interest that we had was 98. Now, this was a thick zone, much like the euro dollar. This one was about 100 pips wide, and we have touched the very bottom of this zone. This is the 97 handle is the absolute last vestiges of support. If this gives way, and it looks very much like it's very likely to do that. If you zoom out and you look at your charts, you can see that we are right at the very last bit of support from this area back here, back in 2007. Once we break below that, the door is wide open to the bottoms. There's nothing really substantial on a technical basis between 97 and 90, which is a nice 7 handle move. However, it should be known that this pair does tend to get a little bit choppy, as we've seen for a while. And when that's the case, it might be a slow, gradual move down. You're more than likely not going to get all 7 handles in a few days. So this is more of a trade that will be every time that the dollar rallies against the Canadian dollar, once we're below 97, it should be a nice selling opportunity. Perhaps taking a small long-term position is not a bad idea as well once we clear the 97 area. And again, any rallies should be sold. Looking at the British pound versus the Swiss franc, you can see that we have reached a significant support area, which we will call 149 for simplicity's sake. You can see we've had several bearish days in a row and yet another bounce at this level. As you have seen, this has been support and resistance several times since the beginning of 2011 and going back into the last month of 2010. When you zoom out, you can see that we are actually caught between two levels of interest. As you draw the line, you can see a little bits of reaction on both ends of this, which means that we could be winding up for some consolidation in this pair. Certainly the momentum, even though this low has not been broken, the momentum is to the downside. And while this isn't necessarily a long-term trading chart video, you cannot ignore the fact that we have had a shooting star touch the top of or form the top of a trend line here, which is a very bearish signal. So going back to from the monthly to the daily, you can see that there are a couple areas that we need to watch. Of course, 149. Anything below 149, any close between or below 149 would be a very bearish signal, and a continuation of the trend to run probably till the bottoms again, if not much lower. As we are here, we have a slight resistance area here at the 151. 154 should provide significant resistance, and then of course the top and the trend line that this month's bar touched. The very top, if that gets broken, this would actually signal a trend change. And if that's the case, we could be looking at very long-term opportunities in the pound Swiss. However, with the trend being down, currently right now the bias certainly has to be negative, and any selling opportunity at these levels has to be to fall under solid consideration, and especially the 149. This has been your Forex forecast for March 1st from ForexMansion.com.